After days of no action being taken against the West Bengal human rights chief and former Supreme Court Judge Justice AK Ganguly, now the additional Solicitor General of India, Indira Jaising, has once again spoken out against the man who faces charges of sexual harassment. The ASG has been made public the details of the incident as outlined in the victim's sworn affidavit before the Supreme Court committee, which the three-judge committee found to be prima facie to be established. Now, the victim's detailed statement clearly indicts the former Supreme Court judge of sexual harassment. Right, now these details that you in fact see on your screen are of the details of a late evening spent at a hotel with Justice Ganguly, where the victim was asked by the former judge to stay back and work on a report. Pierre Mario Fitter, my colleague, now brings us the details.
Reported in the Indian Express this morning by Indira Jaising, the additional Solicitor General of the country. She details incidents that took place on Christmas Eve, the 24th of December last year. The intern at that time was working with the judge. She had arrived at his hotel room to draft a report for the All India Football Federation. While she was typing out that report, she says the judge came up to her and said, "You are very beautiful." I immediately rose from my seat, but before I had a chance to respond to the statement, he caught hold of my arm saying, "You know that I'm attracted to you, don't you? You must be thinking, what, this old man is getting drunk and saying such things? But I really like you, I love you." That's what the judge told the intern, according to her sworn affidavit. She goes on to say, "I pushed him away, stating I had to leave immediately. By now it was crystal clear to me that the preceding events were not innocuous in nature." She goes on to detail in that statement that the next morning she sent the judge an SMS saying she did not wish to work with him anymore, given incidents of the previous night. And then he inundated her with several phone calls that day, asking her to forgive him, to speak to him for at least 5 minutes so that he could clarify what had happened. Back to you, Sanjana.
Absolutely, Pierre. Thank you for bringing us that update. Meanwhile, let's just listen into a reaction that in fact came in a while ago.
It is the central government which has the duty to remove a chairperson of any state human rights commission, whether it's in West Bengal or Karnataka or Tamil Nadu or anywhere. The power is with the central government. Now, if it is with the central government, it is actually with the president has to make a reference to the Supreme Court. But the president acts on the advice of the cabinet. And this is the reason why I have written this letter to the Prime Minister requesting him to consult his cabinet and advise the president to make a reference. I think the reason is because the girl has exercised a lot of restraint, and she, as you know, in November, she did not even put her statement in, she did not mention his name, okay? And she has been silent. And she has been hesitant about talking. Now, when this happens, actually her side of the story is not yet known, right? It's known only to this committee of 3 judges who put the statement out. Now, in that situation, I think he's very adamant because he thinks that her part of the story will never be made available to the public. So her silence is what is making him bolder, I think. This is my personal opinion.
And our correspondent Indira Jaising now joins us on the phone line with more details. Indira, the pressure only increasing on Justice AK Ganguly now to step down as chief of the West Bengal Human Rights Commission, and now also this latest move coming in from the additional Solicitor General Indira Jaising, as she has now gone ahead and made the victim's statement to the Supreme Court panel public.
Well, that's right. There is a considerable amount of pressure on Justice Ganguly to step aside. However, as we have seen over the past 2 weeks, he has remained adamant. He said that he is not going to pick, and he has been pretty categorical in his statement that he is not going to step down.
Right.
However, coming as it is from the one of the senior lawyers engaged with the government, the additional Solicitor General, this does give a lot of weightage to those who have been demanding his resignation from the post, and the fact that the ASG has gone ahead to make public the affidavit that was shared by the victim with the Supreme Court committee, which has pretty all the fact elaborating as to what was the kind of misconduct that was meted out to her. She was interning with this judge in question. So therefore, this is definitely going to provide lots of ammunition to all those people and also the ruling party here in West Bengal. Remember, Trinamool Congress from the very beginning has been demanding the resignation of Justice Ganguly. There have been sporadic protests as well by several women's organizations, rights organizations, demanding that given the position that Justice Ganguly in, it is imperative for him to move aside. Otherwise, this is also infringing on, human rights. And how was he supposed to deliver human rights of other people when his own, morality and own character was under scrutiny? So therefore, considerable amount of pressure on Justice Ganguly, though he continues to remain defiant as of now.
Right. Thank you for bringing us that update in the Indra. Meanwhile, let's just listen in once again to what the additional Solicitor General Indira Jaising said just a while ago.
It is the central government which has the duty to remove a chairperson of any state human rights commission, whether it's in West Bengal or Karnataka or Tamil Nadu or anywhere. The power is with the central government. Now, if it is with the central government, it is actually with the president has to make a reference to the Supreme Court. But the president acts on the advice of the cabinet. And this is the reason why I have written this letter to the Prime Minister requesting him to consult his cabinet and advise the President to make a reference. I think the reason is because the girl has exercised a lot of restraint, and she, as you know, in November, she did not even put her statement in, she did not mention his name, okay? And she has been silent. And she has been hesitant about talking. Now, when this happens, actually her side of the story is not yet known, right? It's known only to this committee of 3 judges who put this statement out. Now, in that situation, I think he's very adamant because he thinks that her part of the story will never be made available to the public. So, her silence is what is making him bolder, I think. This is my personal opinion.
And let's just go back to my colleague Pierre Mariufeta, who in fact has details. Pierre, if you can just shed light on the excerpts. Remember Indira Jaising over there making it very, very clear that the victim's statement has not, her version has not been, brought to the public. Now, all this while you've just been hearing Justice AK Ganguly being adamant, saying that he is shocked and shattered and really refusing to actually step down from the post of West Bengal Human Rights Commission. But now Indira Jaising making these victims' statement to the Supreme Court panel public.
Yes, she is, and in fact, she quotes several times from the affidavit that that the victim gave to the Supreme Court panel, the 3-judge panel over there. It again bears repeating that these were incidents that happened on the 24th of December last year. The victim says she was invited to the judge's room ostensibly for work. She was asked to help him draft a report for the All India Football Federation, and while she was drafting that report, that's when the judge started making advances towards her. At first, she did not know what he intended, but she says it became clear that the preceding events, which is the judge asking her if she would stay in his hotel room, whether she would like to have a glass of wine, she said it became clear that these were not innocuous in nature after the judge, and I'm quoting over here, when I tried to move away, he kissed my arm and repeated that he loved me. So very clearly over there, and Indira Jaising making the point in her article this morning, saying, is this not what Section 354 of the Indian Penal Code, introduced as far back as 1860, is meant for, my lord? Indira Jaising speaking, of course, over there to Justice AK Ganguly.
Absolutely, Pierre. Thank you for bringing us that update. Let's just cut across to Derek O'Brien, who's even giving a reaction right now. Remember, the TMC has in fact been pushing for Justice AK Ganguly to step down from his position of the West Bengal Human Rights Commission chief.
It's a shocker. It's a shame. And not 1 minute more he should be there.
Right, in fact, that is the increased pressure on Justice AK Ganguly, the former Supreme Court judge. This is, remember, Indira Jaising, after writing twice to the Prime Minister requesting that Justice AK Ganguly step down. The TMC too has written to the President twice demanding that he step down, and now the victim's statement has been made public.